Katy Cable. Welcome to the Pet Food Series. I'm here with my little tired pup, Olive, and today's topic is overweight pets. So before you shut this off and give me the bird for fat shaming your dog or making you feel guilty, that's not what this is all about. I just want to share a couple of tips with you and hopefully motivate you to help trim down your pet and give you a couple of simple ways that you can do that. First of all, why is it important? Who cares if your dog or cat is a couple of pounds overweight? Well, I, for one, always loved a great big roly-poly bowling ball of a pug. However, it's very dangerous. Every little pound of excess weight on a pet puts so much strain on their joints, and when that happens, everything's painful, everything becomes very difficult to move, and when your pet isn't moving, they get depressed, their metabolism doesn't function right. It does end up being a really big, expensive problem, and one that you can avoid. What happens too is with bigger dogs, the minute they're immobile and they can't get around, you're going to be faced with that awful decision of what to do with a dog that you can't very well lift and take everywhere. So it can be life or death to keep your dog in shape. So let's talk about weight. How do you know if your dog's overweight? Typically, when you look down on your dog, you should see some tapering at the waist. If your dog is straight up and down, probably a little on the pudgy side. Also from the side, their abdomen should slope up. They shouldn't just be straight across or, God forbid, dragging on the ground. You should be able to see ribs if they're a short-coated dog. They shouldn't be protruding. It should be when they're moving, you should be able to see some ribs or feel them. But visible ribs protruding, they're probably underweight. So here they are. First, check with your vet. Your vet will probably recommend that your dog loses a little weight. If it comes to food, I encourage you to read those bags. Please, please do not run out and get a prescription pet food for weight loss or weight management. Read those bags. You're going to be horrified, but they're filled with cheap carbs, brewer's rice, corn, wheat gluten. That's the exact opposite thing your pet needs. So I hope that you will make a better choice when it comes to food. First and foremost, nix all the treats until they're down to their fighting weight. They don't need the extra calories. They're not very nutritious. A good treat can be if you're chopping up dinner and you have some meat trimmings that are okay, you haven't doused them with A1. That's a perfect idea. Or some little apple slices, things like that. Little bites of a carrot, broccoli, those can be wonderful. If your pet's overweight, typically I like to use a wet, fresh, or raw food. Canned food has a very high water content, so it's easier to digest, and just switching to that can result in a weight loss. But if you can even switch out one meal or just take out half of the kibble and substitute for wet food, you'll also see a dramatic weight loss. If you're insisting on a dry food, those just by nature tend to be a lot more processed and have a lot higher sugar and carb ratios. Make sure the first two ingredients are your lean animal, fish, or poultry, and that the carbs that they use are not the first two ingredients, and they're not white sugar carbs like rice, potatoes, that they're lower on the glycemic index. That will help keep your dog's blood sugar stable. The other thing is that can work very well for a pet that's underweight or hungry all the time. And you can also switch up your feeding time for the evening meal, which can kind of help their metabolism a little bit. So maybe feed them at 5 o'clock one day, 8 o'clock another day. And that alone, just taking a little less food and feeding them at different times, losing the treats, that'll probably do it. If you could also get off the couch and just do a little bit of exercise. And it doesn't have to be much, you know, just a brisk at a walk. For dogs that can't get around, put them in a stroller, or maybe swimming. There's a pool that you can use that's gentle and non-weight bearing. Try to get out and just get them in some fresh air, and that'll be good for you as well. Thanks again for watching. Hugs and kisses.